all, welcome to Glory Hills Homestead. We are not on the homestead today. We are on our way to McAllister, Oklahoma for the Oklahoma Homestead Rendezvous. It is Friday night tonight, and we're gonna go stay at a hotel. We're gonna probably get there around 10 o'clock at night, but we speak tomorrow at noon at the event. And so we're gonna try to get there, get some sleep, and then have a day there, then drive back home tomorrow night.
For sure. We're excited.
Yep. Hey guys, we're at the event center. I'm having way too much fun with this mic.
I don't know, because you have this other mic right here. So.
It might sound weird. You can talk.
Yeah.
I'll film you.
Okie doke. So this is kind of the setup of what you get into whenever you start speaking publicly. We have our event center. We got here early. This is kind of our room. Yes, I know that the lights are a little bit down, but it makes it so our projector and screen, everybody can see it throughout the audience. So one thing you want to do is get to your place if you're publicly speaking a little early, and that way you can get set up and make sure everything looks good, everything is great and functional for whenever you have your event.
It got bigger. Why did it get
It got
bigger?
very much bigger. I don't know why it got bigger. These are the things you got to look through whenever you get started. guys. So right now we're looking at a chicken butchering workshop that Jack Dyer is putting on with Dyer Family Farms. He's very educational about his process, and he's quite entertaining to watch. So if you guys haven't, go subscribe on their channel and give them a like on their video. Okey-doke, guys, so we're getting ready to go on stage here in a little bit and speak. We're super excited about this event and the opportunity to come speak here, but you guys want to make sure that you guys are coming to the next Oklahoma Homestead Rendezvous. It will be next year about this time. We'll have all the contact information, all the updates on our page. Catch you guys here soon.
How are y'all doing today? Good. Have you learned a lot already since being here?
Yeah. I really enjoyed this just because you guys are all from here.
Yeah.
That's been amazing. We went to another one and, you know, it was great, but hardly any of the speakers were from the state. And I was like, man, I really want to hear, you know, what are people doing here at home? So this has been a lot of fun.
Especially with growing things, like it's so different everywhere else, you know. There's a lot of variables. And Oklahoma's kind of rough for homesteading. We can have our little helpers go hand those out. Everyone who wants some. Isaac, can you do the pins and Ash, you do the notepads? I'll use a mic because I'm soft-spoken.
Okey-doke. So what we're talking about is money-saving tips on the homestead. That's what we're talking about. So our course objectives, which I'll use at the same time, so I'll leave you guys, is finding your perfect homestead, infrastructure and land development, gardening, livestock and poultry ownership, as well as long-term sustainability. So a little bit about us. Our story is, I'm in law enforcement. I'm a full-time police officer. We live out in western Oklahoma. How we got there is, we started in Edmond. We owned a house there. I worked for 2 hospital systems. I worked for OU Medicine as well as Integris Health on their security side. This was all during the pandemic. During that time, we felt like God was telling us, hey, we need to move out. We need to go and extend out to our own place, right? Develop our own homestead. So often what we do for fun is we load up in a car and go drive around, mostly out in the Kingfisher area. We went out to the east, but we found that God was leading us more towards the west. I ended up finding a police department that I started to work for. Oddly enough, whenever I went to interview with that police department, I ended up taking the guy in custody as I was interviewing with him. So it was kind of weird how that played out. But everything is in God's hands. So we wouldn't be here where we are today if it wasn't for God. And we're fully believers of that. So
Gotta give credit where credit's due.
yes. So we ended up finding the house, and we put in an offer on it, and they accepted the offer, so we had back-to-back closings at the beginning of December. So
2021.
2021, yeah. So whenever we closed on the house, the night before we were told that this house that God told us, hey, this is your house, this is your place, it fell through. They told us that we weren't going to be able to do the repairs on it, therefore we would not be able to get it. So for the first month, we were homeless. We didn't have any place to live. We were living out of hotels.
We are a single income household. I'm a stay-at-home mom, homeschool teacher, and farmhand.
For sure. So, well, fast forward to the end of the year, the homeowners of the other house ended up contacting me on my personal cell phone and said, hey, we're going to do the repairs that are necessary for you guys to get that loan. And we ended up closing on the house at the end of 2021. Hence why it says ended in 2021. So
Like the last 2 days of the year.
yeah. So now we have a place that we had to fix up, and pretty much everything that we've done has to be saving money. So that's why we came up with this speech of saving money on the home.
Kind of a niche that we accidentally fell into. We kind of had by default, we had to get creative and learn how to do what we wanted to do in a budget that fit within our means. So.
That's not me.
All right, so finding your perfect homestead. How many of you guys are already on your, what you would think perfect or forever homestead? All right, so how many of you guys are still looking? Awesome. So a lot of people, and we almost missed out on our place that we have now because we really wanted like the 80-acre homestead. We wanted what you see on Instagram. We wanted, you know, the huge, big, beautiful farm. Don't let that stop you from taking up the 3 to 5 acre property. If it means getting your foot in the door, 3 to 5 acres, you can do a lot with that. It's less about how much land you have and more about how well you can steward the land that you do have. Fencing costs a lot of money. So if you can find a place that already has that, you can jump in way faster. You're saving tons of time and tons of money. I can't count how many times that our neighbors have had to come help us and vice versa. And it really, we couldn't do what we do without our community. Like right now, I'm only here because one of our community members was at our house this morning milking my cow. And so you really need each other. We wouldn't be able to do anything if it was just us, honestly.
Pretty versus functional. Everybody wants the perfect stanchion, right? The milking stanchion, or they want the perfect chicken coop. You guys can probably imagine it in your head. However, is it functional, and is it what you have right now, what you can't afford right now? So we couldn't afford the very nice chicken coop, although we have it now. But again, $38,000 a year, you can't do that, right? But you still need a good functional area for your chickens or your pigs, right? For instance, we'll get into IBC totes here in a bit. You guys not know what IBC totes are? Chemical totes? Okay, so chemical totes, those have a lot of different functions, right? You can cut out the front of it, and it can be a place that your chickens can get out of the rain, your pigs can get out of the rain, or you can hold them and have them as little chicken brooders. We cut them in half and make chicken brooders out of them. Do you guys know what the purple lumber is? Anybody? It's the stuff that Lowe's and Home Depot, sometimes Ace Hardware, that lumber is generally 70 to 80% off, right? So a board that's $5 is now what? $1.50, $2, right? So my wife and I, last Christmas, we built our sons a big tree house. And $100 worth of lumber. And this is a big tree house that you can walk all the way around the tree, and it's a little elevated off the ground and everything. And again, it's $100. You can't do that going to Home Depot now buying plain wood that is the ideal wood for building. It's just not practical. We preach a lot on being community sufficient, right? Finding your community, finding your group that you can be with. The reason being is community efficiency will outweigh, the success will outweigh your self-sufficiency 100%.
All right, gardening. How many of you guys like to garden? I like it for a few weeks of the year, and then I get upset. We'd be coming home with like 2 little trays of things, and it'd be like $175 or $200. And I can either buy 2 packs of seeds for $10, or I could buy 75 tomato plants from a nursery, and that would be 75 times 4, $300. And so that alone can save so much money just by starting things from seed. But when you don't have a greenhouse, especially when you're wanting to start things from seed, put the IBC tote on top of your seed starts, and it creates a little micro greenhouse. And it really does a great job at keeping the wind off, keeping the temperature good. You can get 2 greenhouses from that essentially, and that's like $8 to $10.
Be very cautious about going to auctions. To purchase specific, and the reason being is you might take very healthy animals, but what you're buying is not necessarily the healthiest of animals, so you're going to be spending more money at an auction after buying the animal versus what you would be just buying a good animal. Now there is also the other side, so you could also buy a very good animal for low to no cost, but if you don't know the information of what a healthy animal is, what it looks like, figure that out before you go to an auction.
If you're just now getting established and you don't have animals already on your farm, it's not a bad idea to buy from an auction because you have nothing to lose, you have nothing that you're going to bring home and get sick. If you already have a lot of animals established, just be very cautious what you bring home, because then you have things that you're going to risk, you know. But if you're starting out, it's a good way to get animals for cheap.
The next is become the vet, right? Or become the vet. So my wife is the vet at our house, right? She takes care of all of our animals, so I'll let her talk about that one specifically.
Yeah, so when you're starting out, it is very nerve-wracking to learn how to give injections and things like that, when you're learning the difference between subcutaneous and intramuscular and all these things. But if you just, it sounds a little scary, but actually
practice on your animals. You're gonna spend so much money if you run to the vet every time you have an ailment. But what's great when you're the vet is you have eyes of knowing what to look for faster than a vet would, because no one knows your animals better than you do. So things like taking temperatures, helping with kidding and calving, hoof trimmings, all those maintenance things, just try to do it yourself, honestly, because you're gonna save so much money. If we took our cow to a farrier, a bovine farrier, which is on the other side of the state, there's none where we are, but that would be, gosh, I think about like $450 for one cow with the mileage and everything. And so instead, I just started learning to trim my own cow hooves. And how you do that is you just jump in there and you practice. But something that I love to do is I get on all those Facebook pages, and you can ask him, 9 times out of 10 when we're scrolling on our phones, I'm looking at livestock pages, reading about other people's ailments that they're experiencing, reading the comments, messaging people, learning everything that I can always about things that we're not even experiencing that at that time, because if you haven't yet, it's just a matter of time and you will. So being intentional about learning all the information, taking notes. If you see printables, print that off right there in the moment, because you're gonna need that eventually. But don't be scared to be your own vet. I would honestly prefer me to be the caretaker of our animals versus the vet, because I feel confident in doing it. I've done it a lot, and I know our animals better than anybody. Because they actually reseed stuff when they're gone. And so all their manure everywhere. Once they're time to get butchered, yes ma'am.
We have sheep, so
Okay.
so we have our balloon is kind of grass is kind of spreading.
Yeah.
It's kind of, I guess they're planting our balloon out.
I love that. And see, you don't have to do anything but feed them.
Yes.
They do all the hard work for you. Yeah, so that's great. And so what we have as our goat yard now used to be our hog yard, but the hogs seeded it completely by themselves, and all we had to do was feed them, and they did everything else. We're for the first time about to butcher our own hogs here in like a week or two. But before that, we've always taken them to the processing plant, and they've been very gracious and let us come in and watch. That's another thing. If you go in and talk to them, a lot of the time they'll let you go back there, especially if it's your own animal that you brought in, and they will teach you or just show you how to do it. And once you've seen it once, you pretty much, it's kind of, they're dead, so there's not that much harm you can do. But yeah, so we went into the butcher and learned how to do it last time, and now this time we're prepared to do it ourselves. We're gonna be saving about $600 this year doing it ourselves.
Right, this is another cost-effective tip. So, buying a bag of corn, right now it's hunting season, or it's getting ready to be. October 1st, the first day of deer season. That froze up. Right now it's hunting season, right? So everybody wants to buy deer corn. And so the thing is, you can go buy corn clean out from the store for $9 for a 120-pound bag, right? Which is far cheaper than if you were to go to Tractor Supply or Walmart for a 50-pound bag. It is right about $6. Okay. So one cool thing is, again, if you go to these grain silos, or like we have Wheeler Brothers over on our side of the city or of the state. You can find cost-effective feeds to feed all your animals. The cool thing is these feeds, like corn clean out, you can feed it to all your animals. So your pigs, cows, chickens. It makes a great scratch.
Basically, our pigs have completely been raised on clean outs and our cow's milk. So we've almost for free fed all of our pigs for 3 years now. We had a pretty important issue with our septic tank. Well, he was working for the county getting 1 paycheck a month. We had absolutely no money. We didn't know how to fix it ourselves. And so we had a guy come out and help us. And so we were able to get our whole septic fixed by trading a ham that we had raised from one of our pigs and some ammo. And so use what you have. A lot of people actually like to barter because they don't have to put it on their paperwork either, and it helps both parties. So just don't be scared to ask to barter. Especially out where we are, it's pretty common. But if it's not common, it doesn't hurt to ask. The worst they can say is no. But cutting out the comforts, so if that means not going to eat out, do that. If that means not going to get your hair done, do that. You have to focus on what you want most over what you want in that moment. We hear all the time people tell us on our YouTube page, oh, I wish we could do that, but we just don't have the money. Almost everyone can homestead to some extent. If you say you can't, honestly, it's kind of an excuse. Laundry soap, dish soap, cleaner, we haven't bought all that in like 3 years. Really all you need is vinegar and maybe some lemons, and that's really all you need. So there's a recipe there if you guys want to take a look at that later on. You can take a picture.
So next we're getting into creating an LLC. Again, this is all over long-term sustainability. Okay, so now we're thinking about when it comes to creating a business, this is where having an LLC could be beneficial. Is it something that's beneficial for you? It's something you have to sit down and consider. Some of the negatives are it does cost to start an LLC. Up there is the Oklahoma Secretary of State, the SOS Gov, right? That is where you'll start your LLC. Again, it's $100 to start, but once you start it, what you're doing is you're creating a buffer in case of, say, here, does anybody have milk cows? No? Okay. One thing about milk cows is you cannot sell raw milk on your farm, right? So if you are to sell it, it can't be for human consumption, although we all know that you guys can drink it, right? But it can't be for human consumption. So if somebody buys, say, some milk or eggs from you guys, or some meat, and they take it home and they get sick and they want to sue you, they won't be suing you, they'll be suing your LLC, right? So there's some benefits to having an LLC as well. It's an extra layer of protection. Next is, if you have an LLC, you can qualify for grants, loans, as well as cost share programs. Now, cost share programs and some grants, as well as some loans, you don't need an LLC for. However, it's a lot better to have an LLC and file it all through the LLC as its own entity versus doing it underneath you. And the reason being is, so when it comes to grants, we'll talk about grants first. There's millions of grants out there for everything, right? If you want a greenhouse, there's a grant for it. If you guys want a hydroponic system, there's a grant for it, right? But where do you want to find that grant money? Where is that grant money coming from, and what do they want in return for that money? So when it comes to grant specific, you have to weigh the pros and cons of who am I getting the money from? Do I want that person involved or that entity involved in my homestead? As well as, again, what are they wanting long-term from this funding? So there's millions of grants out there for everything, both on the federal level, state level, as well as you guys can reach out to corporations. So, for instance, you guys can reach out to Walmart and say, listen, I'm a small farm here, we have an LLC, is there any way we can write a grant? And then you guys can approve it for us to get funding from your corporation just to sponsor us, right? And then it becomes more of a sponsorship, but it still falls into the grant category. Cost share programs. So county conservation offices. If you have not gone to your county conservation office, I highly recommend it. The reason being is they have programs outside of grants that you can receive money to go towards, like high tunnels or greenhouses, things that benefit the conservation or the community there in that county. And then of course loans, no one likes loans, but they could be a good resource if you guys choose to have them. Any questions regarding speech? Yes, ma'am.
Back when you were talking about seeds, is there a way that you can know when if you buy a packet of seeds that you can collect the seeds from the plant?
Yeah, so it's great to look for heirloom seeds is what you're going to want to look for. Every seed packet will say non-GMO. Legally, no seed to individual consumption can be sold with GMO. So any of that is just kind of marketing, whatever, that doesn't matter. Every seed you're going to buy from any store is non-GMO anyway. But if you can find an heirloom variety, those are going to be the best ones to pull from, and you'll be able to save all seeds from that.
Sometimes they have growth inhibitors on them.
Yeah.
So what ends up happening is somehow in the genetic modification of it, it'll be a 1 or a 2 year produce, right? It'll produce for 1 or 2 years, and after that it cuts off and dies.
Crazy, huh?
Questions?
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
So for the chicken feed, you make your own chicken feed?
Yes, ma'am.
Have you ever fermented?
Yes. So on that video, I'm talking about that.
Yeah, my chickens were
nobody died. Everybody came over to walk to do with these birds are really fermented grains.
So one thing that we like to implement is we started fermenting our stuff in the milk. Again, because you have the extra protein and fat from that milk, and it's going into that grain, and of course the chickens are eating.
Normally we do about a day and a half. Well, do a day and a half to 2, yeah.
Okay.
So with milk, we don't let it sit for quite as long. If we were doing water, we would do more like 3 days. But with the milk, we do about 24 hours.
Like and subscribe us on YouTube. We're also on Facebook.
And as a thank you, this is something that would cost money, but we're going to give it to you guys for free. It's our online chicken processing workshop. It's an in-depth 25-minute video tutorial, step-by-step teaching you how to do that. There is blood and guts, but that's butchering. So there's your warning. If you want to look at it, go for it. We do ask that you don't share this link because it is a private link on YouTube. So if you just keep it for yourself, that would be great. And I hope it's useful for you guys. Thank you guys so much.
Question about processing your chicken. Yes. So is there?
All right, so we just finished our presentation and then we went upstairs and had a little interview with Farm to Table Direct Show. Be sure you guys check them out. How do you think everything went?
I think it went really well.
It was actually really fun. It was more fun than I expected. Was it for you?
It was fun.
I really liked getting to talk with our audience after everything. That was super fun for me. So
I guess again I'm going back on to already saying this over again, but I think the connection part between the community of homesteaders is key to everything. So being able to again mingle with other like-minded people.
my cheeks hurt from smiling, so I'm getting a little twitchy in my cheeks from smiling too much. But cool. Nice. So we're out here at the food trucks, checking out the yummy food. Gonna get a bite to eat. Check out our cute shirts that we had made. Fancy schmancy. They look so cute. And then the boys have shirts too. So.
We got those embroidered at King Threads. They're in Thomas.
King Threads and Thomas. Check them out. They did great work.
What do you want me to put the orange in?
Okay guys, we are loaded up in the truck, headed back to our neck of the woods over in western Oklahoma. That was so much fun. What was your favorite part?
So my favorite part was connecting with other homesteaders and just kind of getting more personable. I don't know, just connecting on just a personal level.
Yeah, I really enjoyed talking after our little speech to the audience members. That was really fun. Sorry the lighting is so bad.
So one thing that I really liked and that Holly liked was this other couple that came up to us. They stated that the journey that we went through when it comes to being homeless a full month before actually getting what God blessed us with, which is our homestead today, and just the struggles that we were going through, it really mentored to them because they've gone through some struggles, and it's cool seeing the impact that, again, just God just planned to put everything
like literally
together.
God using that to just inspire others is such a cool thing, and that honestly was my favorite part, just hearing that our story inspired someone. I literally almost cried because I was just so touched that somebody felt that way, and it's just really cool that God does work all things together, and that like our name, Glory Hills Homestead, our hope in that is that we do all things to glorify the Lord in all that we do, and it's just really cool that we are able to glorify Him through our homesteading and through our channel. So
Yeah.
it was just really awesome. We got some sleepy kiddos in the back. That one needs to have his head adjusted. I'll fix him in a second. But yeah, it was just a really great time. I'm kind of bummed we only got to do one day. It was a 2-day event. But I'm thankful, and I'm thankful for the helpers back at home who helped milk Honey this morning. So we're gonna get back around 9, and then I'll milk her tonight when we get back home and do all of that. So it was a great day, great experience. Are you down to do more speaking events in the future?
I'm down to do more speaking events because at the end of the day, one thing that's coolest about being a speaker, I know you guys have probably heard this before, but you actually get more being a speaker out of an event versus being somebody there listening. You get a whole bunch from listening, and don't get my words mixed up. You know, there's a whole bunch of knowledge in that room or in that expo center, but you get so much from speaking at an event, far more than you would get listening. So
I wholeheartedly agree, and I think it actually surprised me just how much I feel like we are taking away stuff, coming away from it. Obviously, look at that beautiful rainbow in the sky. Do you see that?
yeah.
That's so pretty. You know, you go in preparing to teach things, and it's cool going away from it feeling like you were actually taught a lot. So it was a great time. I'm excited. Be sure to check out everybody on YouTube and Facebook that we shouted out in this video. Go to the Farm to Table Direct show and watch our little segment interview that we did after our speech with them. That was cool. We shared it to our page.
And make sure you guys stay tuned for the dates because we will be posting next year's Oklahoma Homestead Rendezvous, the dates and the location for that here in the weeks to come. So.
And any other events that might be going down. I know there's some talks of some other ones, and so any that we either go to or are a part of, we'll be sure to let you guys know on here also. But thank you guys so much for watching today's video. We hope you enjoyed it. We definitely enjoyed it. I hope I got enough footage. I was wanting to get footage, but also just wanting to enjoy the time. So hopefully I got some good clips for you guys. And yeah, next time you see us, we'll be back on the homestead, back to our regular videos. Thank you guys so much for supporting us. Yeah, it just means so much. So anything else?
That's everything.
All right, well, remember, you guys were born for such a time as this, and we will see you on the next one. Bye.
See ya.
You know, what would you say to somebody who's sitting out there in their house or sitting there behind their computer thinking, I think I can do this? What would be your advice to them?
I would say start. You know, the biggest thing is just start doing something, whether that be even if you have like a little flower pot and you start some herbs, just start somewhere, right? Take that first step. What would you say?
Once you do start, don't give up, because it's gonna get hard, especially the bigger you grow, the more animals you have, the bigger crops you have, there's more at risk. And so the more risk you have, you know, things can go wrong that much more. But things can also reap a bigger harvest.